Hello, Mario. Land Surveying 1, Session 7, Traversing. In this video, we're going to do the introduction to Session 7, run you through Session 7, which is on where we start to be traversing. It's quite a busy week around this time of the year as we're coming up to the break, 2 weeks, this week and next week before we break for Easter, this particular round. And so we've got a levelling test coming up, levelling assignment due in, and we're going to start looking at a follow-up from the levelling assignment with a traversing assignment. So yeah, things are pretty busy. So anyway, let's get on to the large screen and start moving on. So here we go. First of all, the plan of attack. So the plan of attack is going to be a little bit different this session. The practical exercise is not going to be outside. It's going to be a desktop sort of traverse simulation with some A3 paper and protractors and rulers. The intention of it is to try and get you to focus on the actual, what you're trying to do or what you're trying to do with the total station. So the protractor or the square Douglas protractor that I use is actually your total station, and I really want to focus on this idea of setting the bearing. That a total station, unlike a GPS, it doesn't come with the direction dialed in. You have to set it up so that it is reading the correct sort of direction. So it's really important that you get it set up accurately as you start. So we're going to do that little simulation inside. And then we're going to go through some worksheets that follow on from that with regards to closing our bearings off, and actually closing our traverse as well. And we're not going to be quite looking at heights just yet, but that's going to be coming later on. Then when we get to the actual tutorial, we're going to obviously go through this PowerPoint and do a traverse assignment briefing, which I'll do that differently, do that separately to this. I won't include it in the session introduction, and so we'll have a look at the traverse as well. So that could be quite a big intro to that, and then obviously we can continue to work on the traverse, some of the exercises that are involved there in the traverse simulation, which this year 2017, the practicals are occurring before the tutorials, so it's going to be a little bit mixy, but it should all end up tippy top, as Mr. Trump says in his little briefings that he gives. So let's moving on. So learning outcomes, there's quite a bit to learn this one, but we're going to be working on just getting understanding of the concepts is quite important, and indications from previous years and a little bit this year are that it's an area that we really need to work on. So I've actually done a video during the week on building construction, trying to build an understanding of what traversing is and why we do it. And I want to do some more work on that a little bit, setting up the control survey around a job. And then once we've got that control in place, we can take all sorts of measurements and come back quite readily and easily, use our marks, get what we want and move away quite quickly, and also use that control for a subsequent set out and as built at the end of the job. And it's hopefully has a bit of longevity, and it can last there perhaps for continuing stages of the same job. An understanding of why we have to set a bearing, which I've alluded to just earlier, and an understanding of finding and proving an origin. Really important that we find and prove an origin. We'll be closing bearings, closing a traverse, simulating a closed traverse, which is the traverse simulation exercise, and calculated distances and bearings between survey marks. We'll be having a look at that as well. So quite a lot to take in, and it as it sort of spreads out over the weeks. These are skills that are within everything that we will be doing in the coming weeks. All right, so simple survey concepts. Concept. 3 existing survey marks are needed to prove a survey origin. So I've shown here 3 marks, 1, 2, and 3, and we need 3 marks, 3 existing marks, so that we can position ourselves in most surveys. So for instance, if I had 2 marks here and here, and I could measure the distance between those 2 marks, and I could set the bearing or direction, that would be fine. But I would not know whether the marks had moved. If I measured the distance, and that was fine, the distance was fine, the marks could have moved on an arc about, with centre about this thing, so they could be out there, so there could be a bit of a movement in that direction, and I wouldn't pick that up by measuring. So because what we want is 2 marks that are in the original place that it's set on the plan. So what we need is a 3rd mark. Now all we really need to do is to measure the bearing and distance and agree with the old plans here, and the bearing here, and agree with the old plans. That means that this angle here has been maintained, and it hasn't, the 3 marks, the relative position of each of them in relation to the other has remained the same. So that's the minimum we need, a bearing and a distance and a bearing. But I mean, in these days with our total stations and actual recording on board, it's just as easy to measure the distance. And just as a continuing on from this, we may wish to measure the heights as well, to make sure, because although they might be in the same position, the heights may have changed. So again, the difference in height between 2 of them is probably sufficient for height, but it's always good to have a check on a 3rd, and introduce the old story of the independent check. Okay, so that's our simple survey concept. 3 existing survey marks are needed to prove a survey origin, to prove that the 3 marks are in the same relative position that they were in previously when they were last measured. Okay, now, is your diary up to date? I'm getting a bit artistic here, and got one of my lifetime heroes on this one here, Salvador Dali. A bit of a diary of a genius. And yes, is your diary up to date? What are you waiting for? You know, get in, get stuck in, get it done. And there's five marks to your name just for filling in your diary. And for those of you that, like me, have a bit of trouble with diary, you do actually have to fill in the diary. You can't just go to the dairy and buy an ice block. Okay, so it's diary. I often spell it wrong. Okay, so assignment 2, traversing, that's going to be starting soon. We'll do our traverse simulation exercise this session. Next session we'll be out in the field doing the traversing. So I'm going to hopefully do a traverse briefing as part of this introduction in the class. I'll certainly be preparing one and making a video. And so traversing is starting soon. Leveling assignments due in this week, at the beginning of this week, beginning of this session on the Monday. And yep, and then we're into traversing, and we've got a test coming up in the next week. Okay, so busy. All right, worksheets. Are you up to date with your worksheets? I noticed that this week here we're up to worksheet 50 in the little documentation that I've handed in, so that's 50 worksheets. So the worksheets are worth 9 or 10 marks, depending on what course you're doing. 50 of them are in. That's more than 50% by the way. I think there's only 77, maybe 80 worksheets. So that's a fair bit of those marks are up and live. So if you've got all your worksheets up to date, and most of you that have put the worksheets in up to date have got a fairly good completion on them, I'd say most of them are in excess of 90%. You've probably got 5 marks to your name already. Test coming up, as I said, that's a few more marks. It starts to go, for those of you doing maths, it starts to get a bit exponential from here on in. So little and often, keep your worksheets up to date. They also relate very closely to the work that you're doing. So very important that you keep them up to date, because it's keeping you in the zone for the things. Alrighty, leveling test coming up. Check the date. Yes, the leveling test is coming up. Check the date, and make sure that you're going to be there. It's 1 hour, no surprises. You should be. I think in last week's documents, I put out a copy of the parallel test. So the leveling test is coming up next week after next. So I've given you one example to work on, and you'll need, there's others there if you need them. So you need to be really working away on that leveling test. Okay, alrighty, and then simple survey concepts. We're done pretty much. 3 existing survey marks are needed to prove a survey origin. You need the bearing and distance between 2 of them, but that doesn't quite prove that they haven't shifted there, and the angle between them. That's your basic existing survey mark needed to prove an origin, and this is going to come to bear during your traverse assignment, that you'll need to prove an origin. Make sure that the bearing and distance agrees with the old plans, and then you can move ahead and put in new marks, or survey in new marks, and confident that you're in terms of the local thing. So there you are. That's the introduction. Oh, not quite. We've got a little bit more. That's right, page up. So what I've got now, one more slide, almost forgot. What's new in Moodle? And getting a bit arty these days. I must have a little bit of time on my hands. So, what's new in Moodle? We're going to have a look. So let's just get out of here. So that finishes with that, and we'll go to Moodle. So here's our Moodle. We'll just go to the good old home button there, and not much to report there. And however, on the assessment scene, you'll see that there is assignment 1 leveling is due on the 3rd of April, and assignment 2 traversing is due on the Monday, the 22nd of May, and I've got copies of that being given out during this session. And obviously this here, by the time you're hearing this date may well have gone, but that's going to be handed in there like that. And the leveling test coming up on the week next week. I think it's I'll just have a quick look here. So that's going to be May. I think it's going to be on the Wednesday. So that's April. It's going to be on the Wednesday, the 12th of April. Pretty sure, but just make sure you've got that. We'll just confirm that by having a look at the. We'll go back to the home page here, and we will go into the course outline here, and let's have a look. 2017 course outline. Remember, these dates apply to 2017. So the levelling test is in the week beginning the 10th of April, and we will be having that on the Wednesday tutorial. So that's going to be 10, 11, 12th of April that we will have the levelling test. Okay, so I should actually put that in perhaps in the assessment thing here, levelling test. We could put that in at this point in time. I might add that in now, so we could add an activity just here, a label, add, and let's see, levelling test. Levelling test. Wednesday, 12th. Oh, we don't have the little 12th of April 2017. Okay, I don't think we can do I don't think we're geared up. Oh, yes, we are. We can put that up there like that. 12th of April 2017. And we'll put all that in quite a bigger font, maybe. And we'll make it bold. Levelling test, Wednesday, the 12th of April 2017. It'll be at different times, depending on when your tutorial is. And that'll appear right there at the bottom. And we'll put it... we'll put it in there, here. Oops, I'll move that up. Oh, golly. Levelling tests. I'll move that up there like that. And levelling test, Wednesday, 12th of April 2017. It'll be in the 2-hour tutorial. So it'll probably start, the tutorial will start and the test will be after half an hour. So you can come and get yourself all ready and then sit the test. We'll just check that it is Wednesday. It is Wednesday the 12th of April. Yes, that's correct. And you'll come and sit the test and then you'll finish. The test is about an hour long. All the tests are in here. No surprises. Okay, so that's the test, the traversing assignment. I'll put a video up in there at some point, and we'll have I'll do a separate briefing on that. So that information is all in there now for the 2017 traversing assignment, and there'll be a video and a separate briefing after this. We've had a look at Moodle here in this one here. So let's just go through to 7, which is the thing here. So I've got a little traverse, there's a video of the traverse simulation exercise. Well worth watching that beforehand, before class, so you know what you've got to do. And there's some notes that are associated with that as well. I've done this little video here just recently, and it's about land surveying for building construction. It gives a little bit of introduction as to why we go through the traversing process, and what's the point of it all, and that, because I've been getting a few questions on that from students, so I thought I'd put that up. So that's in response to some of your feedback that I'm getting. Here's our session plan, session notes that I've gone through with you, and the checklist for the work that you can go on. And so you've got the Traverse simulation exercise, 2 bearing closes, 2 Traverse closures, and an exam question. So there's not actually a lot of worksheets to do. So once you've worked your way through those worksheets, here's what your successful outcome will be by the inimitable Stu Ideal. And it'll look something like this. Let's see if we can get this just down a little bit so that we can get one page at a time. So there's our title page there, Traversing What Success Looks Like. So you will have a completed checklist ticked off at the different days and when you did things, just to show that you're an organised person and you get things done. Okay, moving on from there, then you'll do the Traverse simulation exercise. It's done on a piece of A3 paper, and it could be scanned in and put in here. That hasn't happened for these students. I've just put in the sheet. There's some good notes that are going on here with regards to what's happening. So this has got your degrees, minutes and seconds. It's got your Traverse closure, and I'll go through that example with you just to show you what I want. Here you can see A, B, C and D are the marks, just a diagram of the marks just to help. Next up is a bearing close, and Traverse close. So close the bearings and then close the Traverse on the Traverse sheet. That's a skill that you're going to have to use in exams and tests. Another bearing close, and just a quick note that this one here is what we call a closed Traverse. This one here tends to be like an open Traverse. It's going from two known marks there through some new work to some known marks over there. So that's a different type of Traverse where you're closing from one to the other, or it's sort of a link Traverse, that one is called. And there's 2 sheets, let's see, 2 sheets associated with that one, and a Traverse. And then this one here is a Traverse close. This is just a Traverse close, no bearing close in this one, just closing the Traverse, and then calculating a line between the 2 endpoints. I think it is IT 201. Well, calculating a line or a missing line, inverse or thing. And then finally we get this quite complex one here where we're calculating around the Traverse, then we're doing radiations out to the boundaries, and then we're calculating the boundary bearings and distances. And I think later on I might use that Traverse, put a building on that Traverse and do some more work with that, or one very similar to it. So the surveys get quite complex, and then and you can see what's going on here, or hopefully you see you've put your control Traverse in with these points, and then that's quite accurate because it's in a circuit and it's closed, so it checks itself. We then put these radiations out. Now the radiations are not as accurate because they're not included as part of a closed circuit. And they're what we call hanging lines because they just tend to hang out there. And then we can put those out, and then we can calculate bearings and distances between these points. So they're not even measured, and they depend very much on these being right. So this is where our independent checks come in. Sometimes we'll just do an independent check of these angles and an independent check of this distance with various methods with the tape measure and what have you. And then this here is a Traverse sheet and a Traverse close around that. So it's involved in the Traverse close. This is the radiation block for the pegging ties. This is the another close. This is calculating the boundary bearings and distances. And then we can close up their boundary bearings and distances to get an area as well, but that's a little bit further down the track. And here's some exam questions and a little bit of commentary about those that are of a similar vein. So there you are. That's what successful completion of Unit 7 will look like. So yeah, we'll just go back to there and slideshow from the beginning. Here we go, and yeah, that's it for Land Surveying 1, Session 7, Traversing. Starting to get the full complement of skills and that available now, so you'll be able to get out there and do all sorts of surveying things, measuring up levels. All of these are all starting to come together. For some it seems like a lot to remember, but once you get into it, yep, it's keeps you going and sustains you. So good luck with Session 7, Traversing, and hope your traversing is successful and it all closes up well. Cheers! See you!